Michael Campos writes, "Hey movie talkers, for the longest time shooting back-to-back was only a good thing. It makes shooting movies cheaper with less time in between movies. But now it's different, I think, with the whole Mockingjay situation. The audience had an underwhelming reaction to Mockingjay Part 1, and with Part 2, the director couldn't do anything to course correct because they shot it back-to-back. The result was that Part 2 was the weakest and lowest grossing of the series. Do you think audience reaction should be taken in before shooting a movie back-to-back, and will it affect Star Wars and Avengers Infinity War?"
I think it really is a tough call if you're a studio and you say, look, we have this ability to shoot a back-to-back film, and you see how well it has worked in the past with something like Lord of the Rings, or even the Back to the Future 2 and 3 were shot back-to-back, right? So I understand the appreciation for the audience and their input and wanting to value that when you're considering a future project, but sometimes the practical reality of it is that even if Mockingjay could have made a little bit more money, Part 2 could have done a little bit better, could have had maybe somewhat of a more receptive critical response, I don't think that sacrificing all that money and having to go back and shoot it again after being able to shoot it back-to-back would have made sense. I think that you did please a lot of fans with Mockingjay Part 2. I liked the movie. I didn't read the books, but I liked the movie okay. And then the ending left me a little cold, but you might have been dealing with that situation regardless of when you shot the film. So I think back-to-back, hopefully it works very well with the Infinity War movies. Hopefully the fan response to those whenever they come out in like 30 years is going to be good enough to where studios can say, look, if we can make more epic movies and film them back-to-back to give more content to the fans, I'd still be on board for it.
You know, look, there's a difference between coming out of the gate and saying we're going to shoot these movies back-to-back and having an established franchise that you already know is working and then making the decision to go back-to-back. Now, aside from the fact that they split the final book into 2 parts, which is a different debate altogether, I have no problem with the producers, with Lionsgate, making the decision to shoot those final 2 Mockingjay films back-to-back because the franchise was already a proven winner. So they rolled the dice. I think it was a good decision. Did it bite them in the ass a little bit? Yeah, I think it bit them in the ass a little bit, but I still think it was the right gamble to make. I think it was the right gamble for The Matrix, even though people have different opinions about the final 2 Matrix films, right? The Matrix 1 was just such a big hit, and they could make it cheaper if they did the next 2 back-to-back. I had no problem with them doing that back-to-back, and I certainly have no problem with them shooting Infinity War 1 and 2 back-to-back because this is already a proven, established franchise. It won't always work, but it's a lot smarter than say, hey, we're going to make Shazam, right? We haven't done a single Shazam movie yet, but we're going to shoot 2 back-to-back. Then I'd be, maybe that's not the best decision right now. Maybe get the first one under your belt first. But I don't know, Schnepp, how do you see it?
Well, I mean, you mentioned Mockingjay 1 and 2 in the question as well. Didn't they do Twilight, like the last 2 Twilights back-to-back, as well as the last 2 Harry Potters? And I think that was kind of a trigger for the people who were making the Mockingjay series. Like, let's do those, like, to split up the book, just like the Harry Potter, and do these 2 back-to-back to save some money. I mean, I didn't, see the final part of the Mockingjay trilogies, or 4-part quadrilogy, whatever you want to call it. But I think, with Lord of the Rings, they did shoot all of it, all 3 of them. But then they had to go back and do a very large reshooting of Part 2 and 3. I've heard they've reshot almost half of both of them on the reshoots. They weren't just like pickups, they were like complete reshoots where they were like, so many things changed while they were making the first one that they wanted to add to the second and third, like add characters, take characters away, move things around, that they ended up doing extensive reshoots. So I think, it's a organic process when you're making these films back to back. Even if you have all 3 scripts done, you're releasing them 1, 2, 3. If you're releasing one a year, Justice League 1, they're shooting just Part 1, but Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2, they're shooting back to back. I guess it's trial and error or whatever fits best into people's schedules.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here.